Council and Mayor and members of the public. Thank you for joining us tonight for the Town of Bonnyville 2026 Open Budget House, or Budget Open House, sorry. I'm already starting. On behalf of our entire administrative team, I want to start by saying how much we appreciate everyone taking the time out of their evening to be here to engage with us tonight. Talk about tonight is about openness, transparency, and conversation. We're here to walk you through the process of the 2026 interim operating and capital budgets. You'll see throughout this presentation how the draft budget is built around Council's key priorities, supporting economic growth and investment, enhancing recreation and wellness, improving services to and for residents through value-added services, and delivering service excellence across the organization. Municipal budgeting is always a balancing act. We know that families and businesses are feeling cost pressures, and the town is experiencing many of the same increases. Insurance, emergency and protective services, equipment replacements, employee contracts, utilities, and construction costs are all rising. At the same time, we are mandated under the Municipal Government Act to provide policing, fire services, road safety, maintenance of critical infrastructure such as water and wastewater systems, recreation amenities, and many other supports that contribute to our quality of life in Bonnyville. Tonight's presentation will cover an overview of the proposed 2026 operating budget and capital, highlighting major changes and pressures we are facing, explaining how municipal tax dollars are to be allocated, outline the impacts of the assuming of a 2% residential municipal tax increase, and walk through the key projects included in the proposal of the 2026 capital program. You'll also hear how this draft budget advances actions from Council's vision and current strategic priorities, including investment in infrastructure, recreation, safety, and economic development. In terms of process, here's what you can expect from this evening. We'll go through the presentation to give everyone the same baseline information. After that, we'll open the floor for questions and discussion. Staff from our corporate services, public works, and other areas of the municipal organization are here tonight and available to answer more detailed questions. This is an interim budget, which must be approved before December 31st of this year, as is done so that the town can continue operating on January 1st. The final 2026 budget will be adjusted in the winter, spring, once property assessment values are confirmed, provincial funding is finalized, and Council has had the benefit of reviewing and considering any feedback received. But just as importantly, we're here to listen to your questions and your concerns. The comments you share tonight will directly inform those final decisions and discussions. If you have any questions after you leave, please do not hesitate to contact the town office by phone or email. Our team will work to provide you with an answer as soon as reasonably possible. Once again, thank you for caring about the future of our community. With that, I'll turn it over to Corporate Services to begin our high-level overview of the proposed 2026 budgets.
Thank you, CAO Wimpley. We'll get started with the 2026 overview of the proposed operating budget. It'll be a summary by department. We'll go through the revenues and expenses, major key operating highlights, tax dollar distribution, the implications of a 2% residential municipal tax increase, options for balancing the 2026 operating budget, and actions completed from Council's Vision Action Plan. We'll also do an overview of the proposed 2026 capital budget, which will include major key capital program highlights and actions completed from Council's Vision Action Plan as well. So Council's priorities right now, there are 5 priorities, and they include economic growth, recreation and wellness, communication strategy, service excellence, and value-added services. In 2025, we have completed some actions under each one of these priority areas. Under economic growth, the sports tourism strategy was completed. The approval of the Build Bonnyville multi-unit incentive bylaw was done. Attendance at economic development conference and trade fairs. Sponsorship for events such as the Oil and Gas Show, Family Fun Day, and the Rodeo. Approval of the demolition grant policy and updates to the community standards and land use bylaw for derelict properties. Under recreation and wellness, Lakeshore Drive Slawuta Pond project is in progress. Winter Fun Day at Pontiac Park. Increased funding for the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Collaborative due to funding cuts from AHS. And winter amenities such as a toboggan hill, fire pits, and skating at Pontiac Park. Under communication strategy, we have an online events calendar to communicate upcoming events in town, use of social media to distribute public information, and we have information on funding opportunities from federal and provincial grants for nonprofit organizations included on our website. Under value-added services, we have installation of banners on Main Street for community groups. Software enhancements include online services, e-billing capabilities, and acceptance of credit cards. Member of the Extended Producer Responsibility Program for recycling, spring cleanup, and fall cleanup programs. And under service excellence, we have ongoing professional development opportunities offered to our staff. We signed a 3-year collective agreement with AUPE and technology upgrades to include electronic payments. For the 2026 operating budget, reserve transfers for future equipment purchases have escalated due to current cost of equipment. There is an expected increase of 7% for insurance, which is estimated to be about $23,897. Currently, the town employs 60 full-time staff, 34 part-time staff, and 11 summer students, and this does not include police, fire, or EMS staff. Salaries and benefits total 23.96% of the operating budget for a total cost of $8,136,905. General government services are forecasted to net $1,396,201. Revenues for this department include franchise fees from both ATCO Electric and Apex Utilities, which are expected to increase by $93,775. Council and legislative costs are expected to increase 6.33% to $602,569. This is due to community funding organization requests. And during the 2025 operational year, there were 22 bylaws or bylaw amendments, as well as 6 policies or policy amendments created. Under administration, net costs are forecasted to increase 14.58% to $1,948,875. This increase is due to additional costs for salaries and wages, as well as insurance premiums. During the 2025 year, administration supported other departments by processing 2,529 utility billing invoices per month, 1,712 accounts receivable invoices, 1,698 payments per month through prepayment plans for both utilities and taxes. There were 23,087 receipts done, 2,607 vendor payments, and our administration department also provides payroll or financial support services to the Bonnyville and District Centennial Center, the Ohana Center, the Bonnyville Regional Water Services Commission, and the Bonnyville Municipal Library. The school requisitions in this budget are based on the 2025 requisitions and provincial equalized assessment. These line items do not affect the bottom line of the municipal budget, as they are charged directly back to the taxpayer. Under protective services for police, the net cost for policing is forecasted at $2,282,918, which is a 7.53% increase over 2025. During the 2025 year, there were 68 vehicle thefts, 161 thefts under $5,000, that does not include vehicles, 34 possession of stolen property under and over $5,000, 38 break-and enters to businesses, and 583 traffic-related investigations, as well as numerous other criminal code violations and community engagement activities. The RCMP detachment employs 23 members, as well as 7 support staff. The town is responsible for the costs of 13 members funded at 70%, as well as 3 support staff funded at 100%. The MD of Bonnyville is responsible for one of those support staff funded at 100%. For fire services, the net costs are forecasted to be $719,145, which is an increase of 3.28%. Contracted costs from the Bonnyville Regional Fire Authority are forecasted to increase $30,043, and insurance costs are expected to increase by 7%. During 2025, the BRFA responded to 630 calls for fire. 271 of those calls were within the town. For 911 services, the net cost is forecast to increase to $199,211, which is an increase of 16.77%. In 2025, the 911 Dispatch Center received a total of 26,305 calls, which included 6,536 from landlines, and $19,769 from cell phones. The dispatch center also received 1,574 calls for service for the community peace officer. There were a total of 34,623 calls to the dispatch center in total, which consisted of emergency, complaint lines, fire permit calls, and administrative calls. Ambulance. The ambulance is under the management of the BRFA and in 2025 relocated to the North Star building. The old ambulance hall is owned jointly by the town and MD of Bonnyville and will continue to be the 911 dispatch backup center. Under Disaster Services Department, it is forecasted to have a net cost of $17,500. These costs will cover the attendance at conferences as well as a training exercise and plans to help staff train in the event of an actual disaster. For occupational health and safety, it is anticipated to have a net cost of $166,541, which is an overall increase of $1,185 due to salaries and benefits. Bylaw Enforcement Department is forecasted to have a net cost of $293,667, which is an increase of $31,551, and that is due to association fees, insurance, and salaries. In 2025, our CPO department responded to 447 complaints or calls for service for both bylaw and provincial acts, issued 83 citations or fines relating to bylaw or provincial acts, issued 135 garbage tags or orange door knockers for various bylaws, including snow, long grass, and weeds, and brought 12 dogs to the SPCA, as well as numerous other community engagement activities. We're now on to Public Works and Common Services. Public Works Administration will have a net cost of $715,264, which is an increase of 27.5%. And this is attributed to salaries, janitorial services, insurance, and computer maintenance. The town shop is expected to have a net cost of $664,755, which is a decrease of 3.41%, and this is mainly due to the building repairs being completed in 2025. During 2025, our Public Works Administration received 2 oversized permits from Alberta Transportation, 3 road closures for town infrastructure repairs, 21 road closures for other organizations, 9 banner installation requests from community organizations, and the town shop also completed 434 locates since January. Under transportation, it is forecasted to have a net cost of $2,931,963, which is an increase of 14.63% over 2025. Cold mix materials and sand, gravel, and calcium have increased due to higher cost of materials, and the transfer to reserve for future equipment replacement is also increasing due to updated replacement costs for that equipment. The Transportation Department is responsible for approximately 115 kilometers of roads within town, and that also includes sidewalks, curb and gutter, street lights, and signage. Under water distribution, it is expected to generate $337,502 in revenue. This does not include any costs for capital infrastructure replacement. An increase in the utility fixed charge to $20 per month and utility consumption charge to $3 per cubic meter have been included for 2026. The Water Distribution Department completed 5 infrastructure repairs to CC services to date, as well as completed the hydrant flushing program. Wastewater distribution is expected to generate $950,012 in revenue, and again, this does not include any costs for capital infrastructure replacement. The wastewater department completed 97 residential sewer calls, 11 residential camera services, and 5 infrastructure repairs. As of August 2022, the town began accepting sewer from MD residential customers at the lagoon, which is being subsidized by the MD of Bonnyville. Solid waste collection, landfill, and transfer station is expected to generate $622,323 in revenue. Again, does not include any costs for capital infrastructure replacement. There is an increase to garbage collection charge to $15.25 per month included in the budget. Solid waste is collected on a weekly basis for 2,167 residential customers. The Class 3 landfill and transfer station is open Monday to Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Bonnyville and District FCSS is expected to have a total budget of $786,417. This includes the provincial grant of $453,870, Municipal contributions of $113,465. The town's portion of that is $43,886, and the MD's $69,579. Other revenue under FCSS include program revenue and miscellaneous revenue, and that is expected to be $117,140. For FCSS and the FRN program, expenditures equals revenues. Should anticipated revenues fail to meet projections, adjustments to expenditures will be required. The Ohana Center revenues are based on the continued success of the daycare. The Ohana Center operates as an independent, not-for-profit society, and as such, its budget is not included in the town's budget. The Family Resource Network program started in April 2021 and will end March 2026. The total budget for FRN Hub is $29,400, and the Spoke is $22,832, with the operating year beginning from April 1st to March 31st. The Lakeline Catholic School Mental Health in Schools pilot project, which was included in began in 2023 and included in 2025, ran until August 2025. The Planning and Development Department is forecasted to have a net cost of $471,344, and this is an increase of 17.45%. This increase is due to an update to the municipal development plan as well as salaries and benefits. The Planning Department completed 34 building permits for a total construction value of $4,946,933 and 98 development permits for a total construction value of $24,779,869. The Build Bonnyville Housing Incentive Bylaw was approved in 2024 to include a grant of up to $25,000 for the building of up to 20 new single-family dwellings. To date, we have received 5 applications for this program. The Economic Development Department is expected to have a net cost of $143,374. This cost is due to the implementation of actions from the Economic Development Strategy, such as increased marketing of the town and marketing materials. To aid with increasing economic development in the community, the town is participating in the Rural Alberta Entrepreneur Immigration Program, the Alberta Rural Renewal Stream. We have a non-residential tax incentive bylaw for new and renovated development. As well, we have recently passed the Build Bonnyville New Housing Incentive Grant Bylaw and Build Bonnyville New Multi-Unit Housing Bylaw. The Recreation Department is forecasted to have a net cost of $1,122,497. Costs include operating grants to the Centennial Center in the amount of $1,041,548, as well as expenses for insurance and materials. The C2 grant funding remains the same as the 2025 amount. Contributions to the C2 are based on population from the last federal census data, with 52.05% from the MD of Bonnyville and 47.95% from the town. The swimming pool is expected to have a net cost of $343,348, and this is an increase of 3.96%. This increase is due to maintenance costs, utility costs, material costs, and salaries. Revenue in the amount of $419,647 from the Intermunicipal Collaboration Framework is included to reduce the overall deficit. The pool employs 4 full-time and 26 casual or part-time staff. The pool saw 32,861 patrons visit the facility from January to November for a variety of programs offered, such as lane swim, aquafit, family swim, public swim, school lessons, and swim lessons. As the pool was open 288 days during that time, this equates to an average of 114 patrons per day. The Parks Department is forecasted to have a net cost of $332,375, which equates to an 11.17% increase. This increase is due to salaries, utility costs, and a reserve transfer for future equipment replacement. Revenue in the amount of $406,236 from the ICF has been included to reduce the deficit. In 2025, park staff have completed repairs and maintenance at various parks and repairs and maintenance of our sports field. Inspections were completed on all 14 parks, and they are done on a weekly basis, with a comprehensive inspection done annually. The Recreation Programming Department is expected to have a net cost of $126,414, which is an increase of 5.43%, and this is mainly due to salaries. The Events Committee is currently planning the events for 2026, and the 2025 events included a winter festival, Easter egg hunt, Canada Day, Festival of Trees, Santa Claus Parade, Music in the Park, Halloween decorating contest, Movember, townwide garage sale, Festival of Lights, and Christmas decorating contest. The curling club is expected to have a net cost of $19,699, which is an 8.68% increase. The funding request from the curling club increased by $1,500, and insurance costs are expected to increase by 7%. The curling rink is a town-owned building that is operated and maintained by the Bonnyville Curling Club, a not-for-profit organization with the building and equipment repair and maintenance funded by the town. The library is forecasted to have a net cost of $204,694, which is a 0.73% increase over 2025. The library is a town-owned building that is operated and maintained by the Bonnyville Municipal Library, a not-for-profit organization. The town is contracted from the library for the provision of payroll services, and the town contributes to the repair and maintenance of the building and covers the insurance. The town is also a member of the Northern Lights Library System, which has a cost of $34,642. The community handy bus is under the umbrella of the town, and costs for repair and maintenance of the bus are included in the amount of $9,000. The 2026 budget includes a contingency fund of $50,000 for any unforeseen expenses in 2026. The funding from ID 349, as well as the reserve transfer to use these funds for future capital, has been included in the amount of $6,366,066, which is the same amount to be received in 2025. So for the 2026 operating budget, total revenues equal $33,352,365. That is up about $57,000 from 2025. Expenses total $33,959,495, and they are down $109,000 from 2025. And currently, we still have a budget of $607,130, a deficit of $607,130. As the MGA does not allow a municipality to run a deficit for more than 3 years, administration is recommending that council approve the transfer of the $607,000 from the general operating reserve to balance the 2026 interim budget. So the tax dollars that will in the budget equal $9.8 million, and this chart shows the percentages of where the allocations of through each department. Protective Services is the biggest one there. Public Works is next. Then we have Recreation, General Municipal Council, Planning and Development, Culture, and you can just see FCSS there a little tiny bit. The 2026 operating budget proposed tonight has a budget deficit of $607,000. Should no new items arise, the recommendation to balance the budget from tonight will be added and presented as the 2026 interim budget to be passed prior to December 31st. This budget open house presentation was prepared based on a 2% residential tax dollar increase and a tax rate increase for non-residential properties at 1.7 times the residential tax rate. Should the final budget require a lesser tax increase to balance in April of 2026, this could be accomplished with the passage of the 2026 tax rate bylaw. So a residential property in the town of Bonnyville with an assessment of $300,000 would, in 2025, would have paid taxes of $2,348.25, which is about $196 per month. The 2% municipal tax dollar increase would increase that amount to $2,395 a year, which is $46.97 per month, or $3 per year, or $3.91 per month. So for the next steps for the operating budget, we will take public input from tonight's budget open house, council adoption of the interim operating and capital budget at December 9th. Annual assessments will be received in February. The 2026 final budget changes and approvals in April, and the tax rate bylaw in May. And taxes will be due June 30th. That was operating, and now we will move on to capital. So the capital budget have assets included in it for public safety, transportation, recreation, culture, wastewater, waste management, machinery and equipment, and water infrastructure. Total estimated provincial capital funds available from grants for the capital budget are $1,238,250, which is a decrease of $37,000 from 2025. Reserve transfers for equipment total $1,462,500. Reserve transfers for the Highway 28 project total $396,668. Total estimated ID 349 funding based on the 2025 allocation is $6,366,066. And local improvement tax revenue for alley construction is included of $84,000, and that may change depending on if we receive a request for alley construction. Under expenses, administration has $530,000 to complete the implementation of the town brand and a reserve transfer for future building upgrades. Under fire, there is $1.3 million included, and that will be for a new fire truck and SCBA equipment. Under mobile equipment purchases, the total is $147,500, and that includes the purchase of a truck, a mower, a sewer camera, and boiler. Under public works, streets, and paving, the total is $1.6 million for alley construction, downtown Christmas lights, street light replacement if needed, Highway 28 trees and concrete work, public workshop design, and the annual overlay and patching program. Infrastructure replacement has total expenses of $60,000, and that's for reserve transfer for future capital. Sanitary and storm sewer infrastructure has a cost of $4,561,000, and that's for repairs along Highway 28, installation of services to the rodeo grounds, Southeast Lift Station capacity upgrades, and a reserve transfer for future lagoon dredging. Water treatment and distribution has total expenses of $432,000, and that's for the installation of services to the rodeo grounds, as well as repairs along Highway 28. Under planning and development and economic development, the cost is $100,000, and that's for initiatives recommended by the Economic Development and Tourism Committee. Swimming pool has a total expenses of $10,000, and that's for the annual pump maintenance. Under parks and sports fields, the total is $150,000, and that will include reserve transfers for future resurfacing of the tennis courts, fencing, playground upgrades, Jessie Lake tree lighting, a new playground structure, and tot lot upgrades. The construction of Area 1 along Jessie Lake will also be included, and that's to be located at 55th Street and Lakeshore Drive. We do not have the costs for those included yet, but they will be there for final budget. The curling rink has expenses of $75,000 for building upgrades, and the Centennial Center has $515,000, and that's for building upgrades and equipment, for a total capital budget of $9,547,484. Currently, the capital budget does have a surplus of $6,734. We are still waiting on costs for the public workshop renovation design, as well as Area 1 along Jessie Lake. And again, these costs will be included as part of the final budget presented to Council in April. Alberta Municipal Affairs annually calculates municipal indicator data that municipalities can use that may highlight emerging challenges. These indicators are calculated using data supplied by municipalities, including their annual financial statements, municipal census results, election results, and information from ministerial orders issued to a municipality. Specific aspects of a municipality's governance, finances, or community are weighed against defined benchmarks to provide a general indication of acceptable risks. There are a total of 13 indicators, and if a municipality flagged one of the two critical indicators, which include audit outcome or ministry intervention, or 3 or more of the remaining 11 non-critical indicators for 3 consecutive years, municipal affairs may contact the municipality to discuss if additional support is needed. These indicators are a proactive warning tool. The next slide is the Town of Bonnyville's indicator graph for the year ending 2024, and we have no red on there, so we're all good. Alberta Municipal Affairs also provides financial indicator graphs that compares our municipality to other comparable municipalities with similar characteristics. Municipalities within the region can also be included on these graphs for comparison, and we have included a few of those graphs on the next few slides. So the very first one is the residential tax rate, and the town of Bonnyville is about the third lowest right now. We're the third one down with 7.6%. The non-residential tax rate, town of Bonnyville, again, the third one down, and we are about the second lowest. Revenues and expenses per capita in the town is, total revenue per capita, I can't say that word, $4,373 per capita, and expenses $4,067 per capita. Just got to look at the right graph. And our long-term municipal debt per capita for the town is $2,947, and that includes both short-term and long-term debt. That concludes our budget open house presentation. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them right now. And if you want to email us, we can do that as well as give us a call at 780-826-3496. Thank you.
And I will open up to the floor for council and members of the public for any questions. Well, being that we don't have any questions available, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and don't imagine we'll have any drastic changes to date that we are anticipating.